Now, a cautionary tale on the breakfast show. A retired clergyman has been telling us how he almost lost around £10,000 after unwittingly giving his bank details to cyber criminals. The man, who does not want to be named, says the scammers claimed they were fixing his faulty internet connection. And he's been speaking to our reporter, Lauren Muller.
Received a phone call from a telephone company and they were investigating my internet connection, which they said was faulty. As the conversation progressed, the man concerned seemed to know very much what he was talking about. And coming through on the phone call, there was sort of a background office sound, as though that this were part of a big business. He sounded so plausible. There came the point where he was wanting to fix the firewall. He came to the piece to do with my online banking, and he told me very confidently and firmly he didn't need any of my details. They could work without knowing those details, and it would be for my security to avoid them. He got me to get out my wee card reader, put my debit card into the card reader. The card reader wasn't connected with the computer. Foolishly, I keyed into the card reader some of the details that he was asking for, which really were bank details which I should never have divulged to anyone. But I thought that somehow they were safe in the card reader. As the conversation continued and more things were claiming to be done to fix the internet connection, I became suspicious, got my iPad and looked up my online banking on the iPad and discovered that £1,700 had gone from my account. Next morning I discovered, speaking to my own bank, that these people had gotten a £5,000 bank loan and the money had been transferred into my account. As well as that, I discovered that they had also got a £4,500 overdraft for my main account, a £750 overdraft for the smaller account which I had.
What were you thinking whenever you realised what had happened?
Given enough time, they would have cleaned out every piece of money which I had. They would possibly have been able to get about £10,000 or more.
How does that make you feel?
It made me feel very vulnerable. And I had always prided myself, wrongly obviously, that I knew the dangers of internet and about not giving out your details, bank details over the phone. It made me feel, first of all, I felt very stupid. And then I felt a bit sorry for myself. Am I going to be literally cleaned out? I have to say that the fraud people at the bank acted very quickly, with the result that I haven't in fact lost anything really. Everything has been restored to how it was at 9 o'clock that morning before this individual came on the phone.
What do you think about the people who did this to you?
Well, they are really criminals. It's unfortunate that it seems so difficult to trace them, taking advantage of unsuspecting people for their own financial ends.
What's your message to other people out there who may find themselves in a similar situation?
The old principle of not giving out your bank details over the phone, I think that should be in everybody's mind and awareness.
Our reporter Lauren Miller speaking to that man who almost lost £10,000, all down to scammers. And listening to that is Kevin Curran, a professor of cybersecurity at Ulster University. You've been listening to that, Kevin. How commonplace are these types of incidents of cyber crime? Because we seem to be hearing more and more of this type of thing.
There is, on a related note, with the nuisance calls that people get to their house, there was 4.8 billion in the UK last year reported by Ofcom. Now, of course, these are not just nuisance calls, that these are spams. And of course, BT, other companies are facing this problem, but BT in particular, again, it seems that they're targeting BT. There seems to be a leak of a database somewhere where they have a lot of details which can fool people in. Because when you have a phishing call, a scam call, the more details you have at the other end of the line being a scammer, the more convincing you can sound.
Yeah.
And again, it seems to be in this case here. So, of course, all the things that we would say, that you never give out your details, your banking details, your personal details, your BT account number. Even if you're getting rid of documents with your BT account number, you should always shred that because it's very important to keep that secure. Again, BT, if they call you about something, they'll call you from specific numbers, 0800 numbers again, and you can see those online on their site. BT knows such a problem. They've got a dedicated website to this called bt.com/scans. Again, you can go on there, and again, they'll give you all the information about it. Be suspicious of any unsolicited calls that you get. Never give out your personal details, your personal banking details.
That's the thing, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
The key, never hand out your details. Just one word that stood out there, Kevin, was the word that this man used as the caller was plausible. You get the phone call and you hear even the very sounds in the background of a busy office.
Of course, that they know how to do
These
this.
are sophisticated
Yeah, I mean, there's
or-
call centers set up for this. It's a big business. I mean, that's where the money is now. The money is online and it's through the end of the phones. And they even have postcodes they know where we live according to you can get a postcode lookup map, and you can tell where people live, as in areas of affluence. So if you live in a really affluent area, you're more likely to get the nuisance calls. Actually, you're more likely to get the spam calls because they believe that you can pay.
Do we know how much money's been lost?
It doesn't give us that money
Annually.
because banks will also not make this public. Really, they want to keep that a secret. But also, it's just very hard to justify because a lot of the time, just like nuisance calls, only a fraction of people report them. And until people report them, the Ofcom can't do much about them. So whenever you get calls from companies, the public should really report them, because then the Ofcom can do class actions against these sites or these companies. And some companies have been fined because they have been doing nuisance calls.
Why
Really.
don't people report it? We heard from that man. He said he felt vulnerable, he felt stupid because of what had happened here.
They're very clever. I mean, they'll also sometimes ask you, if you even do a call lookup be able to do 1471, you'll see a fraud number. Sometimes they'll say, don't trust me. I'm going to hang up now, and you ring the bank. And then the spammers don't actually hang up because the phone line can remain live for about 2 minutes. They play a dial tone. So when you lift the phone up, you think that you've got a dial tone, but actually they're there waiting for you to press the numbers, and then they answer with a different actor. And you think you're talking to the bank. So again, you just really, like everything else, you would really hang up. You go to a legitimate phone number. You've got to really be on your guard.
Okay, and people, anyone can be vulnerable to this, particularly older people, you'd imagine. But very briefly, how do you protect yourself against these scammers?
Again, it's about the things about never trusting unsolicited calls. Really, Again, and if you have been a victim, you should register with the protective register with cfas.org.uk. That means then that the things which happen there, that you go on to protective register. So therefore, when people are taking loans and other things, and your extra precaution is taken, and it makes it more difficult for people. These companies will actually phone you up directly to make sure, did you really want to take out a loan? So it really gives you protection, and it's only £20 for 2 years by going to cfas.org.uk.
Well, thanks for that advice this morning, Professor Kevin Curran there.
You're listening to The Breakfast Show on BBC Radio 4.